welcome to episode 4 of PG Knits. I'm Rachel. You can find me on Instagram as Pocket Giraffe Knits, and you can find me on Ravelry as Pocket Giraffe. I don't have a group on there yet. I'm too tiny, not enough people watch me. I am on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram. It is my favourite social media platform. So, are you ready? Because I've been away. Grab a cuppa, grab a chair, and let's have a chat. I'd say I try not to keep you too long, but we all know that's lies. I hope you are all well. This is cup number 1, by the way. There are 2 cups of tea here because we are the house of plague. My husband brought a lovely virus home. He has, while I'm sure it's awful, he is definitely making a meal of it. He kept me awake quite a lot, and because he has a CPAP machine, I can't kick him out, which is disappointing. When I think it was like having a newborn again, and there was a significant lack of sleep. However, Joshua is now off poorly with it. He hasn't actually got back to school since the Easter holidays because he really is poorly. Like, his eyes are all swollen and he's got a horrible cough, and whatever he coughs up smells rank. I'm run down because my skin is awful, and I have a bit of a sore throat. So I thought, as I've come up here to talk at my phone for a little while, I better bring extra supplies. I'll put this down before I dunk my hair in it again. I hope you're all well though, and I hope you all had a lovely Easter. I did. The first week I podcast, and so, you know, I wasn't really up to a huge amount. Second week we went to London, which was why there was no podcast. I did mention it in episode 3, but Joshua and I went to London for the day. When Abigail was 8, I took her for her birthday. We actually stayed at the Grosvenor. I got a deal. I was working as well, and we had to see Matilda, and we had a really, 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 really fun time. It was fabulous. Bear with me 2 secs. That's better. My phone was having a little whoop, and I was going to have a fall over. Anyway, yes, so Joshua, in the summer holidays, he was like, "Mummy, can we have just a Mummy and Joshua day trip?" And I was like, yes, but what do you want to do? And then I wasn't very well. My anxiety plays up. Sometimes I get quite bad agoraphobia. So we didn't do it in the summer, basically. And we didn't do it in the October holidays, basically. And obviously Christmas is like family and visits. And then they've got new stuff to play with. And he had a PlayStation, so we didn't see hide nor hair of him. So I've been planning it. I was going to go and do it in the summer, and I was just online looking at the cost of train tickets, and it came up at £30 return for both of us last week. So I thought, bugger it, let's do it. So I paid for them and we went, and it was amazing. I was really, 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 really apprehensive because I've done it walking. I've done it in a wheelchair once, but I had Brad with me. So I was a bit sort of like, is this going to be okay? Wheelchair, me? I ordered some gloves. Some cycling gloves are the best because they provide quite a lot of gel padding on your hands. They're brilliant, actually. They didn't turn up. But I wore my Fitbit because I was like, I wonder how far we're going to go. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it? A disabled woman with a Fitbit. A Fitbit. But it does measure my Fitbits. It has calibrated quite nicely, actually, to my wheelchair. So I thought, well, I'm not going to manage it walking. There's just no chance I was going to be able to manage. No. It's just not going to happen. And considering the tickets had cost me as much as it would cost me to go to Birmingham from here, I thought, well, take the wheelchair, and if we need to get taxis and stuff, that's just how it's going to have to be. it wasn't like that at all. Tube's a bit difficult to navigate because not every station is step-free, which they'll get there. They have to. There are a lot of step-free ones. The issue we had was actually, we'd go like we got to London Euston. That's not actually accessible, which is a bit dumb when you're at a train station, but I'm sure they'll alter it at some point. Anyway, some lovely commuters actually helped myself and Joshua down the escalator, which, I mean, Londoners get a bad rap, and it blew my mind. I wouldn't have got that locally. I wouldn't have got that help locally, and I know I wouldn't, and that's no frown on anyone that lives nearby, but it's the truth. It wouldn't have happened. So they helped us onto the platform, and we were there, and I was like, right, Josh, it's super early. Like, we got the commuter train. Sore throat. I'll talk about this cup in a minute. It's got a doggy on it, and it's got a staffy on it. That's the same colour as my dog, who is downstairs being a nurse. Anyway, it was rush hour, and we were like, dude, we are not going to get on a train. Not in a wheelchair. So we sat there and we were like, well, we'll watch them, because Josh has never seen anything like that. And we stood there, and then there was a guy talking, and Josh says, oh, let's go down there. And that's the raised bit of platform anyway. So we went down there and we sat there, and the guy was like doing his bit, and he was really, really funny. And he said, oh, you waiting? Like, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to get on one of these busy ones. We'll just wait for a quiet one. And we, bit of chatter, and Joshua says, it's my first time in London. I've never been here. And he said, oh, really? And he was like, so you've never been on the Underground? And he said, no, I'd never been on a train until today, because I have to drive a lot of places. We quite often don't use public transport, which is bad. And the guy says, shall I get the trains to beep for you? He says, come here. And he squatted down next to him, and he stood him on the safe side, and he was like waving at the train drivers, and they were beeping, which Joshua thought was amazing. And then another guy comes along who works for, is it TfL, Transport for London? And he starts chatting, and he was amazing as well. And he was like dead cheerful. And he says, sorry, dog out the window. The dog distractions are just going to be a part of this. And he says to Joshua, do you want to speak to a driver? Well, I mean, like, this is an 8-year-old boy. Of course he wants to. Well, girls can like it too. Sorry, I'm just, my hair's a bit like a scarf at times. So he takes Joshua down, and I wheel along, and he's like parting of the seas on the we felt like VIPs. And then 3 drivers stop. 3 drivers, high five. One guy gave him a special handshake. I got to take pictures with them. And then the guy was like saying to Joshua, what do you want to be? He says, I want to be a civil engineer. I want to build tunnels like this and stuff. And the guy said, you already are. What you need to be ambitious for is being the best. But you have everything in your heart, everything in your heart. You already made it. It's just about the path you take to get there. And then gave him this, and Joshua was sort of completely mesmerised, and it's really stuck with him. Like, it was the most amazing experience, and that was within half an hour of getting to London. They helped us on the train. Then when we got to Green Park, because we were going to Buckingham Palace, and I know that's the best train station, get off, and we wheeled through the park, bump into this man, very posh man, very well spoken, with the most beautiful blue staffy. Blue's that silvery colour, like not blue, otherwise that would be a very sick staffy. So he got talking to Joshua, which was really lovely. Like, there's just something about dog owners. I mean, cat people are probably the same, I don't know. But there's just something about, like, you go and you meet people and you got chatting. And it's a bit like, you know, when you go to a mum's group or wherever, you start chatting about your kids, or we were in the park talking about our dog. That was lovely. And then we went to Buckingham Palace. That was lovely. There's going to be a lot of that was lovely. Wheeled round to St James's Park. 2-hour train journey, and that boy finds swings. Straight on the swings, and we were there for quite a while he played. But it had rained on and off up until we got to Buckingham Palace, and then it started to clear. there was a policeman there who was talking to Joshua about the Queen being in residence and just explaining bits and pieces. Oh, it was lovely. There was no trooping of the colour because it was the wrong day. Trooping of the colour, changing of the guard, because it was the wrong day. But I think it would have been a bit too busy because we don't live somewhere particularly rural until you go somewhere like London, and then you're like, wow, we just don't get crowds like that here at all. It's very, even the Christmas lights and all of that, it just doesn't get like that. So there were a few moments where Josh sort of stopped and went, I'm a bit overwhelmed. Oh, the very good dog outside is now yapping away, which is set my dog off. She'll be barking in a minute. Yeah, we went down to the Household Cavalry, and they were changing the guard, which I've never seen. I've been to London quite a lot. I'd never seen that. It was amazing, like the horses and stuff. I think as well, because I was sat down, I was the same height as Joshua, so we actually got to experience it together, and I could kind of see why he was overwhelmed, because when you're at arse level, sometimes, I have to say, the London people were amazing. They were so kind. Even the homeless guy, when he could see we were lost at one point, was like, the toilets are that way. So we gave him some money and stuff. But yeah, the London people were amazing. There were a few rude moments. There was one person who I had to stop because I was on a quite a steep incline outside the Houses of Parliament, and I was holding on to you can't see what I'm doing, holding on to my wheels, keeping myself in place. Huge amount of crowds. This school tour PGL people push past, and I'm like, Josh, just stand behind my wheelchair, you won't get knocked. So he stood behind the wheelchair. I can feel his little hands on the back of me. And this woman says, oh, do you need a push? I was like, no, it's downhill. I don't need a push. I need people to stop stepping over me, and then I can get out of everyone's way. But what had happened was I'd had to stop because of someone in front of me, and then the people step over me in the most rude fashion, to the point where you think, are you going to sit on me? Like, it's very odd. And because I am relatively new to the world of wheelchairs, it continually astounds me that people can be so kind, so helpful, and then equally incredibly rude. There were a number of times where it was like, no, I don't need you to help me. You are currently stood in front of me, sapping all of my strength and momentum. Please, just move. And I know people are trying to be nice, and I know but it does get a bit irritating sometimes, which is why I think sometimes people can come across, when we're in our wheelchairs, we can come across as a little bit rude. And I'm not being rude. It's hard work. It destroys your shoulders after a while. And when you're sort of holding yourself and then someone does that, you're like, just move. But on the whole, it was amazing. We went to the Rainforest Cafe for our lunch. Joshua he's big on animals. Giraffes are his absolute favourite. He's obsessed. What that boy can't tell you about giraffes is just not worth knowing. Obviously, there's no giraffes in the rainforest, but there was a stuffed toy giraffe in the toy shop. So my mum had given him some money for Easter because they're a bit old for Easter eggs and stuff like that. They had a couple, but they just want it for the chocolate. And yeah, he found the only giraffe in the shop, and cuddled that creature all the way round. We went to Hamley's, where he spent the last of his birthday money, which I'm quite impressed with. At 8 years old, to still have birthday money from February in April was pretty good going. But in the end, I mean, we walked probably around 15 miles. We hopped on buses. That ended up being the best option for us. We'd bought an all-day sort of card pass. Joshua, anybody under 11 within certain areas, obviously, predominantly we were using the tube and the buses in central London, and they were free for Joshua because he was under 11, which I think is fabulous. So we were hopping on and off the buses in the end, and he just turned to me and he went, I think I've had enough London now. He was completely overwhelmed by Hamleys. If I know how to do it, I'll share some. I'll say, shall we drink some tea? Put my teeth back in. Oh, now the camera goes out of focus. Ooh. Wait, dickhead. There we go. I'll share some of the photos I took. I have zero idea how to do that, so we shall see. I might not. Where are we going, Josh?
London.
What time is it, Josh?
6:31 when we're going.
Are you tired?
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yes.
What we're going to go and see?
Buckingham Palace.
Anything else?
Can't remember any of the other things. Big Ben.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where are you going to go and spend your voucher?
A toy shop in London.
Hamleys? Hamleys?
Hamley's toy.
It's all about the lies I've told. It's all about the love I wanna hold. It's all about my heart.
What's happening, Josh?
There's a thunderstorm.
It's all about the lies I've told. It's all about the love I wanna hold. It's all about my heart I lost tonight.
But it was brilliant, and it was the opportunity to get to know Joshua. He's kind of hit an age, and I think Abigail was around about the same age, so 8 going on 9. And he has become his own person, which is lovely. But you kind of have to get to know them. My father-in-law said to me when we had our daughter, you only rent your children. And there comes a point where your tenancy is up. You are no longer there. You will always be their mum or dad, but whether they choose to have you in their life as a friend comes. And if you were going to make friends with somebody, you want to know something about them, right? And so that was probably the purpose of the exercise. Anyway, I have rambled on about that, but I did have the best time. I've got a little notebook down here, by the way. That's why I keep glancing down. I really look all over the place, don't I? And I've just written London plague, which is everyone being poorly. The thing is, Abigail and I seem to be okay, so maybe it is really bad flu. I'm just run down. Anywho, so yeah, and then there was yarn shop day, where I actually ended up taking my mum. So we had a little girls' day out, and that was amazing. Absolutely brilliant. I'll go into it in more detail in a minute. I won't. I'll talk about it now. So we went to Nottingham. Well, I went to Knit Nottingham. Eleanor is amazing. Emma was there. Zoe wasn't. She was, I think she was at the snooker, someone said. Whatever floats your boat, eh? I don't know why I'm saying it like that. I actually quite like snooker, but I don't think I'd want to sit and watch it live, sort of thing. Anyway, we got there sort of lunchtime and it was busy. But yeah, it was really good. There was yarn shop day special in the is it Fruitful Fusions was a dyer that got there. Somebody had made special Nottingham fabric bags. I didn't get one of those. I was too late. Some people were right up the back and they were just sat knitting. But I get a bit self-conscious when I'm in my wheelchair. And I love my mum. She's not used to the wheelchair yet. And has a habit of going, Ray, mind out. And you're like, I'm as wide as this area and I can't go forward or backwards unless I levitate and I'm not a Dalek. Ray, mind out. There's someone behind you. Someone's just going in the shop. And I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do about this. I love her. She's my mum. And I think when you become disabled, your whole family becomes disabled. It becomes a journey for everybody. My husband used to park my wheelchair when he was helping me by pushing, and he'd just like park me, and then he'd be like, oh, look at this, and it's behind me. But everybody's different in the way that they are in a wheelchair, and I just see it as my way of getting about. I don't really think about it until other people start behaving differently. And for a while, Mum used to talk loudly to me as though my ears didn't work just because my legs are a bit dodgy. But yeah, we had a really good time. Mum bought some beautiful, like apple green, chartreusey. Oh, my teeth don't work today. Chartreusey green. It's a beautiful colour. Maybe acid green, not quite that neon, but she bought that. She'd seen a cardigan in this month's Knitter magazine and had seen that colour and was like, that's the one I want. So she came and got that, and I'll show you later on what I got. But more importantly was the choosing of the Yarndale uniform, which was then hijacked by electoral fraud, because Eleanor has put a video out that explains it, but somebody was coercing drunk people to vote for their choice. And now there is a poll, and if you go onto Knit Nottingham's Facebook page, you probably won't have time, I don't know, and see the poll. And if you do have time and you do get to vote and you don't vote for the cardigan, we can't be friends. Just so you know, we can't be friends. I'm not even going on her trip, but I want to knit the Yarndale uniform and I want to go out and sit in the picture because I'll be in my wheelchair. So yes, you'll have to excuse my slight, but I've pretty much been in the house with just Joshua to talk to, and he likes to talk about something called TikTok. I don't know what that is, and PlayStation, and PlayStation, and YouTubers that he watches on playing the PlayStation. There's only so much before you're like, real people. And to me right now, talking at my phone, you are my real people. So yeah. Anyway, so that was that. Now, I thought I'd put a little bit in about yarn world news. If you aren't on Instagram, or you don't follow that sort of stuff on Instagram, you will see that Truly Hooked, Hey J Yarns, a lot of people, they have been discussing the argument that dyers charge too much for their yarn. Now, I don't agree. I'm just going to put it out there right now. You can have a difference of opinion, that's fine. I do not agree. There are some people who overcharge. Now, if you look in the UK, you're looking at between £16 and £20 for, you know, your usual merino nylon, right? That noise was the dog, she sat outside. I don't think that's unreasonable. I budget for that. I know that if I want, now when I first started knitting, I'd never heard of indie dyed yarn. And the first thing that I did in terms of sort of like the yarny community was I went to the Knitting and Stitching Show at Alexandra Palace in London. And I went and I bought commercial yarn. I think I came away with, what did I buy? Because I can remember, a little dinosaur knitting thing, and I saw Black Sheep Walls have these great big mounds, and it's insane. It's like a jumble sale full of knitters. It's crazy. And they all grabbing all this stuff because it's all discounted. And that was what I bought. I didn't buy loads. Second year I bought more. But there was fibre spades there, and I was like, oh my god, this yarn's so expensive. And then when I learned to crochet, my friend who taught me to crochet, Anna, she actually introduced me to Lindsay Hutch of Dye Candy. And I started getting the candygrams. And this, she would sort of have an inspiration. And a lot of this comes from those, actually. She'd have a theme, and you'd get some little things, and you'd get, I mean, I think, hang on one sec. That came in the rainforest one. So that came, okay, and the rainforest yarn, I think, is that one. I think, and there was some other bits and pieces, and I was like, wow, like, imagine having a blank page and then doing that. I was amazed, and it was beautiful. I didn't really know what to do with it because I was getting single skeins, but I loved it. And because Hutch sort of collaborates sometimes, I discovered, who did I discover? Then there was Truly Hooked Verity. A lot of the indie dyers that I still use, I found as a result of that channel, people that mainly, I loved Hutch's work, and so if she recommended them or what have you, I went with them. I didn't even go on to Etsy to look or anything like that. I just went with what I liked. But I was prepared to pay, I think it's like £35. That was my treat each month. Obviously now that I don't work, I have to think a lot more about budgeting if I want to buy yarn. And hand dyed takes a lot of care because it is something special. Now, if you were going to go and buy hand painted fabric bed sheets, you'd look after them, wouldn't you? If you had bespoke curtains or blinds made, you'd look after them. You would also expect to pay more money. If you went and you bought a car, just one second because my throat's killing me. You buy a car and you have a custom paint job, you expect to pay more for that car, don't you? if you go and buy an item of clothing and you go to some of these more sort of designery, basically you're buying designer yarn, aren't you? And if you think about that, you're actually getting a bit of a bargain. This is designer yarn. And I genuinely think, I understand those people that are new dyers will charge slightly less because they've not been doing it for as long. They're trying to break into the industry and they are trying to share what they're doing, and they're also still honing their talent, so not everything's going to be perfect. You're more likely to get a mistake, and it's that argument of you get what you pay for. I think sometimes there are people who rate their skills higher than maybe they are, and there are other people out there who undervalue themselves, and I would say that Verity of Truly Hooked is one of those. She is known everywhere. Like, if you go to anything where there's indie dyers, she'll either be there or people will know of her. And I think she should put her prices up. I just do. I think she undersells herself and her skills. I think for Lindsay that did this, I mean, this is stunning, isn't it? And this isn't my work. This is just showing off yarn. That's what that is. That's not me making it beautiful. It already was beautiful. I've just put it into something. And I will keep that for decades. Like, I hope my children get to wrap their children up in it. I hope that one day when I'm gone, that's something that's an heirloom. That's why I do these things. When I make stuff like that, when I made that, I knew, I think it was, I can't remember how much it was a month, but it was relatively cheap. I got 2 skeins and I've made this blanket. It's a lot of money when you start to put it together as 12 months worth of club payments, but that blanket is going to stay in this family until the day I go into the ground. And can you hear Joshua coughing? I can. Oh, bless his wee heart. Yeah. So why question it? I just think it's not that it's overpriced, it's that we don't have the budget. And I think I'm going to get political. I do not like the party that we have in power. I am a disabled mother. I was a teacher prior to being disabled. And I cannot say that in the lifetime of my daughter, our quality of life has improved under the government that we have. We were okay under Labour for a very short time, and then the Tories have not done us any favours as a family at all, ever. In fact, the budget and finance, the budget when it's announced is one of my biggest triggers. I get incredibly stressed coming up to that period of time because I am terrified of what they're going to announce. I struggle an awful lot with my self-worth and my self-identity because I feel vilified by government statements, by their policies with benefits and the welfare state. I have paid for myself for 9 years if you work on what I get coming in and what I have already paid. And that was just during my teaching career. I worked before that. I feel vilified by the media, and the media are often in support of government policies or whatever, but within the media we have been vilified, and I believe that is we as disabled people, as people who can't work, and that doesn't help that there are people who manipulate that system, but the percentage of people that another good dog that manipulate that system are minimal in comparison to those of us who need that system. I would love a job, but I am unemployable in the state that I am. And I accept that, and that's okay. Anyway, back to yarn. And I believe that our pockets, our bank accounts are squeezed more tightly, and we have to be more considerate of what we're spending on, because our outgoings have increased. As the cost of living increases, we can't afford those things that we like, and we're like, oh, how much? I'm gutted. You know, I want to knit a jumper, and I really want to do it in hand dye, but I just can't afford it. I saw the yarn at Yarndale last year, and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. It's not in my budget. It's not in my budget. I will find an alternative, but it's not in my budget. So pay them. Pay the designers as well. Now, shall we talk about my little gripe when it comes to designers? And not, may I say, Verity. Hold on one second, because this is going to have a moment. Back in the room. I'm not even going to explain it. It just cuts off after so long. So yeah, I was knitting, and you know, I've been showing you, and I've been getting all excited. Let me get it out. About this yarn that I got for Mother's Day. Picked it up from Eleanor in Nottingham, and I was going to knit Johi Locatelli's All of the Lights. It had to go in the naughty corner and have a word with itself. Now, I love Johi's designs. I love Johi, and I will knit other things of hers, but that pattern, oh good Lord, it's complex. It's really complex. And it's not out of the realms of my capabilities. I'm not being a big head, it's just not. The problem is the pattern has got that many different cable lace, and the way it's laid out was just completely inaccessible. And that's the problem. Now, if you are on Instagram, go and have a look at Disabled Makers. They've had a bit of a chat about this. I was a SENCO, which is a Special Educational Needs Coordinator. It's now Special Educational Needs and Disabilities Coordinator. And that is about ensuring that every child, regardless of what challenges they face, access education equally to their peers who do not have those challenges. It isn't difficult to make a document accessible. But this is, if it hops about, right, I've changed my pattern, basically. I had done all of the yoke on the pattern, and I'd started the body, and I was hopping from cabled B to Aran A to lace this, and now I'm relatively capable with these sorts of things, but when my disability, my fibro fog, or I'm just having a bad pain day, sometimes it's hard to jump about with things. Somebody suggested print it all out and staple it together. Number one, I don't have the money to put ink in my printer right now, because I do have the money if I used it, but then I would have to go without something else and just been to London. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, just hands. Anyway, so I changed pattern, and I'm now doing cables on Saturday. I had some oopsies, and they were entirely user error. You see how it, like, I don't know if you can see, sort of curves like that. That actually is how it sits. Well, this dickhead. Number one, I didn't have to pick up a provisional cast on, so I just made two sides, and then I was like, oh, how do they fit together? So I had to unpick one side. Then I picked the other one up and realised that I'd pulled out the wrong one. So it was supposed to go like that, then like that, then like that, then like that. This bit went like that. I'd done it wrong. So unless I'm a very funny shape and my arms are like that, it wasn't going to work. So I had to rip it back. So something that should have taken me a morning and afternoon took me 2 days, and I got very cross. But that was user error. The other pattern, I even tried writing it out. I got very frustrated and really upset because I've been really, 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 really looking forward to doing this pattern. I ripped it out in the end and started this one. And I really like this one. It's got like a little rib here, and I've just started here. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if it'll pick it up. You see those cute, aren't they cute little cables? That's going to be all down the back. It's quite a long cardigan, but I chose that one because I've not brought my Kindle up this time, but each different side they've got a little table. So rather than having it within, see this one, you see how it's like, that's really inaccessible. Number one, it's black on white. Black on white is the worst colour for somebody who has any form of visual stress. Any of us, you know when your eyes get really tired and dry? Some people get that quicker than others. Black on white is very, very stressful for that. Number two, the font is really close together because they've tried to fit it onto that. You know, I get that it costs money to have it printed with more pages, but see if it's a Ravelry pattern, 90% of the people download it. Some people print it. I don't. I just download it onto my Kindle and use it that way. So again, swiping. For this pattern that I'm doing, what I've done is, I can find it now. I wrote out cables that go on the front, cable that goes down the back, little increasing note for myself. And that's what I'm using, the pattern and that, right? And the counts. And the counts are all set out in these tables, and it's really, really nice. There are little bits that it would have probably helped me if I had printed it or got a paper copy, but it's not the end of the world, and it's much easier. So I've written it out, and you know, it's one A5 piece of paper. This other one, I wrote it out and it was 4 pages. 4 pages. And I just felt so overwhelmed. I had such anxiety. And I thought, it is going to take me hours. And it took me, I was in bed feeling really, really poorly. And it took me on and off 6 hours to do 2 rows. And I got so upset. And that's because the pattern isn't accessible to people who craft, who have difficulty with concentration, difficulty. My husband's dyslexic, my son has visual stress, my daughter has anxiety. I wonder where she got that from. Sorry, abs. So how do we do this? I don't think designers overcharge. You've got to charge what you think you're worth, and we can't continually tell people, and remember the majority of us are women, we can't keep saying women need to feel their worth, and then women in business be told, but you're charging too much for that worth. We can't do that. If you can't afford that pattern, knit something else. I mean, let's be fair, there's a lot of patterns out there from certain design studios, drops, who have replicated them because of this sort of conversation. And that's not okay. That's plagiarism. We're all told not to do it at school. Let's not start doing it in adult life. So, Kalisha on the Quirky Monday, I was catching up on some of hers. I don't think she spoke about it in the most recent one. I think it was maybe 1 or 2 back. But it's the Quirky Monday Craftcast, and she talks about wanting to make sure that her patterns are clear and understandable. You know when you get a form, you've got to fill it in and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, why am I answering, which one do I jump to? And you don't know what you're doing, and then you get it back because you answered this question, you were supposed to answer that one, and it really stresses you out. This is what happens with knitting patterns, and that's when people get frustrated and say, oh my God, I can't believe I paid £5-6 for this pattern and I can't follow it. Now that's not someone overcharging, that's somebody under testing. Now, I said on my Instagram stories, and I think I've saved it in my highlights, that when I needed to make something more accessible, and there were lots of different instructions for different abilities within my classroom, I would export my skeleton plan. So everybody's going to be doing this, but different children would be working at answering slightly different questions or presenting it slightly differently based on their abilities. Now that as a teacher is something you have to do. So if every teacher in the profession can do that, then designers can do this too. And then I would get an Excel document and I would put, you know, this ability does this bit, this ability does this bit. Or when I was working in SEN, it would be literally this child, because I had maybe 8 kids in a class. But what I'm saying is maybe we can do size 8, new tab, size 10. And instead of downloading a PDF, we're downloading an Excel document or you know, there are ways to do it. It doesn't make your job more difficult, because when you're grading it, you're thinking about these numbers anyway. So we just literally copy, paste. Next job, testers. If we're talking about making things more inclusive, that doesn't mean saying, oh, well, you can't follow it, go and follow something else. What it means is we need to be, I'm just looking down, looking not just at sizing, but also when you get your testers, find someone who's dyslexic. Put a specific call out for somebody who has a chronic pain condition. Put a specific call out for a larger size, because they're going to have, you know, or a smaller size, whichever ones, and ask for people that have additional challenges. And then you'll find out if your pattern's readable and workable. Because this is what wasn't in that other pattern. This pattern that I've got now, much clearer, much more sort of just this, then just this, and that's a good model. Also think about your fonts. Let's not go with fancy fonts, guys. This font here not only is very small, but is very crowded. I don't want to show you too much because it's a paid pattern. You can see from here, it's very crowded, it's very small. It looks like either Arial or Times New Roman. It's not the best. There are fonts called, one's called Dyslexie, that are specifically designed. Comic Sans, although people moan about it, is a very accessible. Spacing. Now, this is one of Verity's patterns in her On the Hook book. And I don't know, you can probably see the difference. Number 1, it's bigger. Number 2, let me just put it here. See how that's more rounded? Yeah, it's more rounded. The way it's spaced is much wider and more spread. That is beautiful. From a Senko's perspective, this is what I would want my teachers and my support staff to be producing for children who struggle with written work. It's not perfect. The line spacing could be, double spacing is better than 1.5. However, it's still spaced better. It's at least 12, if not 14 size. And that, you know, it's not perfect, like I say, there's a lot of words, but it's how we divide it up. And again, when you've got your testers and they look at it, ask them. Yeah, ask them, is that readable? Ask them, because it's not just your maths you're checking. Anyway, I've ranted on. But if we're going to talk about diversity, we need to talk about that. If we want to talk about sizing, I tell you who's really good about that. Amy Beth, Fat Squirrel Speaks. She's on YouTube. She's on Instagram. She has a Patreon actually, and her Patreon pays for some of. She talked about sewing and other things every other week, and within those is incredibly good discussion about adaptions and sizing. And I also have something else to show you, but I'll hop back to it because we've waffled on. But this, apart from my little mistake that overtook my 2 evenings, this is still quicker, much quicker than where we were. And oh my goodness, I was so upset. I don't have anything finished to show you, I'm afraid, because it's been very busy. Then I had to be a mum. this is still wrinkled. I did a couple more rows on it, but Joshua went to sleep on the train and I just couldn't knit because I was just watching him be small and cute. It's a bit bigger. I think I managed like that on the train. But I mean, you know, there's a lot of me, so look how wrinkled it is. I don't think it's going to get any better either. So, you know, it's a chunk, but still, I probably need to crack on a bit. But like I say, I was busy being a mum. And my knitting disaster, oh, honestly, I was so annoyed with myself yesterday. I'd done it, I was about to pick up my stitches and I thought, wait a minute, and I looked up and it was like a bloody S and I was like, are you kidding me? Instead of this nice U shape. But this is going to go like, this is my shoulders. I'm quite proud that I'm knitting a size down to what I would normally knit, and that's because I've lost a little bit of weight. Not through trying, I'm literally just trying to keep an eye on how active I am, and not binge, because I do binge when I'm miserable. So yeah, that is pretty much it. So although I've moaned about this pattern, for me this is still accessible because I can just go through the highlighter and I write my note. I have notebooks everywhere where I'm constantly scrawling reminders of what to do and stuff. But on yarn shop day, my mum bought something and I wanted something because, you know, we can still knit and crochet in the summer. I'm just saying. I mean, we're in Britain for a start. There's no guarantee we're going to have it like last year, and I really hope we don't, because crispy fried ginger is not good. But I bought this pattern. So it is 5394. I love that. I don't know if I'm going to do a cardigan or... Oh, look at the jumper. I don't know. I think I might just do the cardigan because I think I'll wear it more in the summer over tops and dresses and stuff. I just thought, oh, obviously not in canal brown beige. I mean, it does look like it's been dyed in canal water, doesn't it? Attractive. I went for a different colour. I've gone for King Cole Bamboo Cotton. It's so shiny. This is cyclamen. Mum went for this in that sort of acidy green. It is gorgeous. It's not a colour I can pull off. This is, my mum was like, I don't know, but I quite like it. Do you know what? I'm going to wear it either way because I love this colour. It's really deep and intense, and quite often I go for pale and pastel because of my hair. So it's a nice change, and for the summer, nice and bright, isn't it? You get quite a lot of yardage for this, you know. You get 230 metres, that's 252 yards, and this is 50% bamboo viscose. There's arguments about whether this is good for the environment or not. There is a lot of processing involved in creating this. It's panda food, isn't it? And 50% cotton. It is washable at 30 degrees. So, I'm quite excited, but I need to crack on and actually knit something, don't I? And then, oh, do you know what else I'm going to knit? Just while we've got this book out, just seen it. I'm not going to knit it because it's crochet, but I'm going to crochet that for the summer as well. You see? Oh, isn't that gorgeous? I mean, let's just go. Can we just have a moment to? Isn't she beautiful? She's just so pretty. She's a nice person as well. Do you know how annoying that is? Look, it's a little top as well. Honestly, if you crochet and you want crochet garments, you want this book. I literally can't sell it to you enough. Isn't this beautiful? Like, this is amazing. Amazing book. I could go all day. It's gorgeous. Buy the book. Buy it. because I like it. But that is something, and I think, oh, hello, what did we do there? I don't even know where that hair is. Right, there we go. Katie from Geordieknits, she's also doing a pattern. She says it's going to be out for this sort of around summertime, and I'm thinking another bamboo cotton. There were other colours. I might go for a greeny or a bluey colour for that one. But it was more like a vesty summery top. I've seen she's shown it on her podcast, so go and have a look. That's another thing. But you know, it is possible to knit and crochet in the summer. I mean, I very rarely don't have something in my hands. So yeah, so that was what I got from Yarn Shop Day, and I shall be buying the pattern for whatever the Yarndale uniform is. It needs to be the cardigan. I want the cardigan. The top is beautiful, but it will accentuate the part of my body that I am most self-conscious about, and that is my mummy tummy. Nothing I can do about it. I've had 2 C-sections, and yeah, I have a spinal cord injury, so I struggle to pull that bit. Bloody hell. If you're still watching this, like, good on you. That was a thumbs up, by the way. The only other thing that I acquired, Yarn Shop Day, we also went to the bead shop in Nottingham. Mum bought beady things. I bought a giraffe bead for Joshua. I want to get some numbers, and I'm going to make him a little bracelet or a necklace or something. So when we go out in the summer, he's got my phone number, and we'll get some fun beads and stuff. And we might make a couple. And Mum also picked this up for me. I don't know if you're going to be able to... Can you see this? Oh, yeah, look. It's like opals. Isn't that fucking stunning? Bloody lovely. Oh, I love my polymer clay. I want to make dragons. So this is going to be a dragon. We might make some beads as well, but not with this. Yeah, it was lovely in there. I've not been before. I also got some earring backs. I've got a really lovely pair of earrings I was given for my 21st birthday. They're real garnet for my birthstone. And they're gorgeous, but I lost the back from one of them. And picked them up so I can wear them again, which I'm super chuffed about. So Yarn Shop Day it wasn't just Yarn Shop Day, it was Shopping Small Businesses Day, because we went to the bead shop, and we don't have that much, that kind of culture so much locally. On to cup number 2. So it was nice. We do have like little shops with it, predominantly like gift shops and not that sort of stuff, and it was really nice. I should definitely be doing it again, although I might go a bit later, get drunk and stay there, might stay in the travel lodge or something. Anyway, so yeah, that was that. And the bead shop, I highly recommend it. It's got like loads of findings and stuff. You can make your own little stitch markers and stuff like that, or do beady things. My mum's into beading in a big way, and she's so talented. I keep trying to get her to sell the stuff she makes because it's gorgeous, but she doesn't want to. It's her hobby, and I get that. I do. Like, it stops being fun, doesn't it? Sorry, I was just checking I hadn't dropped a stitch. But then the only other thing I've got to show you is what I got. I'm so excited. We had I'm in a Facebook group called Flock UK. Now it's flock as in a flock of sheep, U as in EWE, and then a K, and it's flock hyphen UK. And we did an Easter swap, we did a Christmas swap. We won't be doing another one now until Christmas. We did a little swap where everyone got to know everybody. People asked questions and you sort of answered, I like this, I like that. Obviously I had like, I like tea, love my dog, I've got kids and stuff like that. And we send a parcel off based on that. So I sent one off to I bought fibre. I don't spin. I don't understand the terminology when people talk about spinning. I think they're wizards. It's amazing, like, but it's just not something I would do. Well, I might do it one day, but I bought fibre and that was fun for my swap partner. And then the partner that sent it to me, obviously we don't swap with each other, it's all random anyway. So I got loads of little bits. I got a little knitting, like it's like a brooch pin. It's really, really lovely. And I collect my little pins. I put them on the back of my wheelchair. I have some sweary ones, they're fun. I got, which I thought this was really good because I went to London, like she must have bought this, but this is tea bags, and these tea bags are really nice. They're different, they taste different to my normal tea. They look dead posh, look. I also like this little tin, keeping stitch markers and stuff in, because I'm useless. This project I'm on, like, look how many I'm using. Here's a tip, you can use safety pins. So I'm using some stitch markers, but predominantly, I like the bulb ones, but predominantly I'm using safety pins, because I didn't have enough, because I do have enough, I just don't know where I've put them. They're lost into the abyss. Now I understand my mum's frustration. And I also got my little Staffy mug. Oh, look. Oh, beautiful doggy. It's quickly becoming my favourite. Oh, there's still a bit of tea left. Oh, surprise tea is the best tea. So I got that. Oh, I cried when I got that. It's made my day. I love it. I've always got too many mugs, but anything with a doggy on, especially a staff. And I got project bag, hand sewn and everything. So I'm not one for project bags. I normally put them in like canvas bags and those reusable shopping bags, and I ain't fussy. But it is quite, I get why people love them so much. I really do. I'm quite inclined to try and make my own at some point because I've got quite a lot of fabric for various projects. But I'm keeping my Mother's Day knit in there at the moment. My cable's on Saturday, so in it goes. And I quite like this because, like, I've got one with a zip on it, but the problem with the zip is it catches, and I'm clumsy. I'm not clumsy, I'm disabled, but you're not going to catch it. Drawstring, awesome. So I got that, and then she sent me yarn, and I've never heard of these. These is Mermaid's Purse yarns, luxury wool and vegan yarns. Machine washable on the wool cycle. 100 grams sock, 400 meters, 25% nylon, 75% British wool. And this is the Monterey Bay colourway. Stunning though, look at those colours. So I might make this into a shawl because it's very much my sort of colours. I might make that into a shawl. I seem to be shifting from my purple phase into blues and greens. Considering I'm knitting everything in purple at the moment though, that might be a problem. She knit me this from her own pattern. Like, isn't she clever? It's lovely. Lovely, isn't it? So yeah, I'm really, oh, that was so nice. And then I couldn't even remember sharing my Amazon wish list, but I must have done because it's off my wish list and it's here. This is by Amy Herzog, Knit to Flatter, and it is all about, it's not about your body size, it is just about understanding what shape you are and what accentuates what. And there's quite a lot of patterns in there actually. Let me have a look. But I've wanted this book for so long because I like things, but I'm never sure whether it's going to suit me or whether I'm just going to feel really self-conscious because it ends like that t-shirt I was just talking about on the yarn dough uniform. It kind of points down towards my tummy and I'm just not comfortable with that. My husband's like, oh, it's where you grew our babies, and we called Joshua Roo when he was in my tummy, and say it's like my kangaroo pouch. It's Roo's pouch. But I'm just not. I'm not ashamed of my body in any way. I am what I am. That's fine. Like, I'm a 35-year-old woman that's had 2 kids and now has a disability anyway. So I really wanted this book because, you know, sometimes you look at something, is that for me? Is that going to make my belly look big? So this is all about that, and it's about not just that, but adapting which thing. And I just don't know that stuff. I don't know, you know, wide chalet boat neck adds width to the shoulders. Do you know something I don't need? Width on my shoulders. I am wide shouldered anyway, and not just that. I am 1'4", because I wheelchair, like that's the most muscular area of my body. But there's loads and loads of little patterns. There's top heavy, there's if you're in proportion what works, and even down to, I don't really know what my body shape is, but she's talking about taking your measurements, and this is, you know, how you discover what body type you are. There's no saying that you don't, but it says adjusting ease and length, you know, white construction, misaverages measurements, so if it's just a size, flattering features for top heavy, if that's what you want. I don't want to disguise my boobs. If anything, I want to accentuate them, because I didn't have any until I had kids, and now I'm very proud of the fact that I do. But yeah, I mean, it's just saying that this is what this will accentuate. This is, you know, curves, and all the women in it are different sizes. Of course, there's no one sat down, because there's never anybody sat down in books. I am in love with that. Oh, love that so much. Yeah, deep scoop neck of the pullover, flat as a larger bust. And I'm always one for going further down. I'm not cropped 10 strips into my chins. So yeah, I mean, it's not saying that your body in any way, shape or form is wrong, because it's not. It's your body. But it is saying, this is, if you're interested in flattering yourself, this is flattering. And I'm so pleased. Like, thank you, Swapper. I'm so pleased. This has been sat on my bedside table and I've been reading bits and pieces. I'm so pleased, because I knit my own clothes because I want that confidence. One sec. Anyway, I knit my own clothes because I want my confidence. I want to feel good in my clothes. And when I buy stuff from shops, it doesn't always fit the way I wanted it to. I really enjoy sewing my own clothes as well. I'm just not very good at it. You know, like everyone says, oh, the perfect pair of jeans. I've never had that. And what's perfect for me has changed. So a lot of what I like to wear is not practical. When I was in London, the cardigan and the top that I got on was loose fitting to the area, but it was rubbing on my wheels because of it was slightly shorter and it was too floaty, and my cardigan didn't do up. So it's fine if I was like going to be stood up, but it kept poking through the sides, and oh, it was filthy when I got home, because it just caught on my wheels, and there was some significant washing done after that. So yeah, maybe I should do one that's like how to do it for disabled people, like a wheelchair one. I am no designer. So yeah, it's difficult, it is, and I completely get it. But ultimately, books like this are fabulous. Font's a bit small. You know what I was saying earlier? But it's okay, like, it's not too bad. But what I will say is, I understand it's not possible to cater for everybody all of the time. But please, designers, get somebody with a disability or with dyslexia or both, as well as different sizes, because you're not just testing your maths, you're testing your pattern. Right, I ought to go and look after my child. I can hear him coughing and spluttering. It's tomato soup time. And hopefully I'll have some more knitting next week. Just one sec. I will say, I sat yesterday afternoon fixing my bodge, listening to Kalisha she's Nadira Tani on most platforms, and she's the Quirky Monday Craftcast. Goodness me, that woman brings light into your life. She really, really does. She is such a positive human being and so wise without realising she's being wise. And I wish she wasn't in Florida, because she's the sort of lady I'd love to sit down and have a cup of tea with. She's so lovely. I want her to be my friend. But she's like thousands of miles away, Rachel. But she is lovely, and she is talking about refusing to sink, which has really hit home to me recently, and I would recommend listening to her because she's got some really powerful stuff to share. And at one point it made me all choked up yesterday afternoon. I've also started watching The Lonely Knitter. She seems really nice too. She's not too far away from me. Obviously Geordieknits I've mentioned, and Amy Beth from the Fat Squirrel Speaks. The other lady that I would like to say, it's an audio podcast, Love for the Mama. If you go on to Instagram, Love for the Mama, M-A-M-A, Kayla, I've been to one of her interviews where she interviewed Candice Brathwaite, and that was fabulous, absolutely fabulous, and very, very inspirational to listen to. Candice gives a really good insight into the struggles of people of colour, women of colour especially, in modern day Britain. She's been talking about that all week with some stuff that happened with her daughter, and the interview was, well, it was eye-opening because I was shown pretty much face to face the level of privilege I've had in my life that I didn't even realise I'd had. So Kayla's interview skills are awesome because she drew that out so naturally, and it was still fun, and it wasn't what it could have been. I mean, it wasn't, just your average, oh, how are you doing? What do you do? And tell me about it. It was like a conversation that we were all privy to, and it was lovely. And she's just released her own podcast. I think her link's in her bio on Instagram. Highly, highly, highly recommend having a listen to that, because although I've not listened to it yet, it's on my list to do, but sick kids and stuff, she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing, and it's going to be brilliant because it's Kayla and she was born to do this. This is where her skill set is. So the sun is now, it's piddling it down. Brilliant. So as the sun's gone in, my room's gone very dull, and I have waffled on for a very long time. I'm going to go load this up on the computer, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.